Hi, welcome back to the Carton Show. Great to have you here. It is time for a little something we call Wednesday morning. There you go, headlines. 49ers are playing in their second Super Bowl in the Kyle Shanahan era. It's 4 NFC championship games in the last 6 years, and they've not won a Super Bowl as a franchise, of course, since 1994, meaning there's pressure. Not so much necessarily on a specific player. Quarterbacks get all the pressure, if you understand that going in. But I do think there's some Shanahan pressure. John Lynch has built a great football team. Jed York has committed the resources to allow him to build a great football team. Shanahan has done a good job. But now you got to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, you do. I mean, it's what it comes down to. And obviously, the tough part here is you're playing against a dynasty.
That's the problem.
A team that has won it, a team that has the best quarterback on the planet, a team that understands what they're up against. And frankly, you look at the Niners' last 2 games have been probably the 2 worst games they've played collectively as a team, both offensively and defensively. So, this is going to be one of those situations where I understand if you don't win it, but it will be the question mark about can Kyle Shanahan win the big game?
And because they're going up against that dynasty, and I'm with you, Mark, 100% on that, Willie. It's what Jacoby and I were saying yesterday about Brock Purdy, which is if you're the guy that beats Mahomes, it changes your life. Legacy, how you're viewed, the lists we all make, the silly list of top this, top that. All of a sudden, you're now Joe Burrow. So if you're Shanahan and you haven't won a Super Bowl yet, if you're the guy that can beat Andy Reid, if you're the guy that can devise a defensive game plan to beat Patrick Mahomes, life changes overnight.
Yeah, but also going against Andy Reid, what he does really well is in-game adjustments, right? You got to keep par with him. I think there's a lot of talk about Shanahan and how he sets things up and sets plays up for the third quarter to kind of get the big knockout shot. Andy Reid, from a standpoint, one thing he does well, he plays his players' strengths, right? There's a reason why Kadarius Toney's not in the lineup. There's a reason why he trusts Patrick Mahomes to change the play on the line of scrimmage. There's a reason why he goes to Travis Kelce. So on and on. There's a reason which he didn't do before. He wasn't a quarterback that called, a head coach that called a lot of runs.
Right.
Now the offense is going through Isaiah Pacheco. So this is a guy who understands what he has at the moment, and he's utilizing everything.
I guess here's the question. You played for a great head coach in Mike Shanahan, obviously. He won Super Bowls at Denver. And I'm trying to view it where, at what point, as good as you are, as much success as you have, NFC championship games, going to Super Bowls, etc., at what point does an owner or a GM say, it ain't enough? It's not enough. Like Marv Levy survived losing 4 straight Super Bowls and went out on his own terms. Mike went out on his own terms, but eventually won multiple Super Bowls, of course, as you know better than anybody. But if you're Jed York, if you're John Lynch, and you have great respect for the job Shanahan has done, when do you have to win?
It's a really unique position for Shanahan, because if you were to say, who are the top 5 coaches in the NFL, I'm personally putting him on that list. But then you look at it and you're like, great regular season, right? He's an offensive wizard, draws up some crazy plays. He's lost Mike McDaniel, he's lost Robert Saleh, he's lost DeMeco Ryans, but still keeps the success going. But then you kind of look back, you're like, well, no Super Bowls. It's like there's a success ceiling for him. You have to crack that ceiling.
But it's not a success ceiling for him as a play caller or him as a guy that can orchestrate an organization.
Yeah.
You're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy.
Don't forget Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins was in there.
But you're comparing those guys to get to that point versus Mahomes. There is a stark difference.
Yeah.
And as much as I like Purdy, and I love Purdy, he ain't Mahomes. I'm sorry. Yeah. And there's a big difference there. So now it comes down to how well can we coach. And you talk about the defense, putting a defensive plan together. When you're playing Kansas City, it's your offensive plan. How well do you possess the ball?
Right.
How well do you control the clock? How much time can you keep Mahomes sitting on the sideline? That's every bit as big in this game plan as that defensive game plan that you're going to come up with.
Yeah, there's a great comparison to the New York Giants having to beat Thurman Thomas and the Bills all those years ago. Keep that Bills offense off the field or you can't win. Real quick, second headline for you. Jerry Jones is talking again.
Oh, Jerry, not now.
Jerry Jones, of course, the de facto general manager of the Cowboys, despite being a multi-billionaire, decided to go to the Senior Bowl so that he could look at all the talent out there and you grade them, because that's what GMs do this time of year. And Jerry Jones came out and said what we all know. that the Dallas Cowboys are all in for 2024, and we will go as far as Dak takes us, and that's as far as we went. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
That didn't sound all that positive, though, from my standpoint.
Yeah, and I thought he had an opportunity to kind of nip this in the bud, and he didn't. He kind of just opened the door more for more speculation that, listen, if Dak doesn't get this done, he's going to be gone, along with Mike McCarthy.
1 year left under contract, right?
Right. Well,
Mike McCarthy, 1 year left under contract. Here's my only quarrel with it.
Okay.
And we'll let you hear from Jerry Jones later in the show. My quarrel is, how can you tell me that you're going all in and you showed no interest in Jim Harbaugh or Bill Belichick to be your new head coach? All due respect to Mike McCarthy, who's won a Super Bowl, has authored great regular seasons over the last 3 years for the Cowboys. But don't tell me that you're all in when you didn't go out there and get a better head coach.
Well, and I said this last year in September, and it came back, and I was right, as I usually am. So I mean, that's the way it works. But the Cowboys are going to be great in the regular season. They're going to get in playoffs, and they're going to take a dump in their helmets because that's what the Cowboys do. Why do they do that? Organizational structure. You think about this: Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott show up in September, and you know who's sitting in the locker? Trey Lance.
Right.
Because your owner circumvents the authority. It's one thing to appoint a coach. It's a whole other thing to empower a coach. And when you are the grand poobah of all things football, and there's a back staircase up to your office as the owner, and you do a bi-weekly radio show, and your organizational structure is so screwed up. You guys know you're a Jets fan. Yeah, you understand how that works, right?
We own that. That's our place.
Right. But as long as the organizational structure is that screwed up, I don't think the Cowboys win anything.
And I'm with you. I made that point a couple weeks ago. Obviously, you've made that point for a while now, that maybe it's time to start looking at the guy that calls all the shots, and that's not Mike McCarthy. That's Jerry Jones. Much more on the Dallas Cowboys and the fact that I still can't believe that dude's at the Senior Bowl critiquing talent. Like, what are you doing?
Name a player who's playing today. Number 84?
It's like when younger kids wager on a Pac-12 basketball game between San Diego State and Oregon, and they can't name a single player on the team, but it's on TV. Anyhow, they're making us take a break, so much more coming up right after this. Hey there, thank you so much for watching The Carton Show. You can subscribe right here to get all the latest bits and segments from the show. And by the way, while you're at it, we have a lot of great shows on FS1, so check them out too.